iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. All right, let's get to week 2. And then, of course, we'll do a little Monday night preview of the game between Seattle and the Bears. But let's start out with a Sunday night game. I thought the Cowboys played pretty well. I thought the Giants played terribly. I mean, really. The Cowboys did a sensational job of covering Odell Beckham Jr. and Sterling Shepard, funneling everything into Ingram and Barkley, and the Giants couldn't get the game started. I mean, and this is Dallas, who looked so bad last week against Carolina. I don't know what the Giants are going to do at this point because Dallas looked pretty good to me yesterday. So if the Giants can't beat Dallas, who got killed by the Panthers, I don't know what the Giants are going to do. I mean, they might have to play the Bills and the Cardinals every week. Barkley was good, but he can't find any running room. Guy had 11 carries for 28 yards. It is not Barkley's fault. Let me tell you that right now. If there's a crevice, this guy's in it. It's just that the offensive line is so bad. And I know you have Barkley, but Eli Manning looks old and slow. And the guy threw 44 times last night, and he only averaged 6 yards completion. It's just not going to cut it. For Dallas, they did just enough to win. They weren't great, but they did just enough to win. Tavon Austin with a big play, good defense, Ezekiel Elliott, and it worked. All right, the Saints beat the Browns, and man, Zane Gonzalez, bye-bye. Bye-bye. You stink. I mean, the Browns right now could be 2-0. I legitimately, if they had a guy who could kick, if they had Steven Gostkowski, they'd be 2-0. Here's the deal. Tyrod Taylor made a really good play at the end of the game. I give him a lot of credit for throwing the ball to Antonio Callaway. But the rest of the game, I really didn't think he was so good. The running game was non-existent. Duke Johnson did nothing. I want to see more Nick Chubb. 2 carries, 14 yards. Can I see more there, please? I think there's a good player here, and he's getting blocked by Carlos Hyde. Callaway is going to take that spot for Josh Gordon, and Rashard Higgins is not a bad player. I know that he's that Tyrod Taylor type of player. I know he likes him. I mean, fantasy owners, it's going to be like 5 for 50. Please don't overpay for him this week. I beg you. For New Orleans, I just had a feeling this game was going to be a low-scoring game. I don't know why. I would have certainly bet the under if we were in Vegas. Michael Thomas was fantastic. Kamara was just human. He was good, not great. I think if you played him in daily, you overpaid because he didn't do that much. Ted Ginn was, I mean, basically you're looking at Brees throwing to Thomas and then a good defensive play around it. All right, the Chargers against the Bills. I don't know what happened with Vontae Davis. Who quits in the middle of a game? Dude, I don't care how miserable you are. Go to the sideline, tell the coach to put somebody else in, but you never quit in the middle of a game. That's just horrific. And the Bills are a train wreck right now, except I think Josh Allen looked pretty good yesterday. He did. 245 yards and a touchdown. He had 2 picks. That's true. Got sacked a bunch of times. But there are granules of goodness here. And if I'm a Bill fan, I know we've lost 2 games, but I'm sitting there going, okay, we just have to now get players to surround Allen. LaShawn McCoy is done. I wanted no part of this guy before the season started. Benjamin stinks. Jones stinks. Clay stinks. The rest of the team stinks. I mean, you got to give them something to work with there. I mean, really, they have nothing. The Chargers got out to an early lead, and then they didn't have to do anything. Keenan Allen did nothing. Melvin Gordon had a great game touchdown-wise, but not big yardage. Eckler did okay, but they didn't have to do anything. When you're winning 28-6 at halftime, you weren't worried. And so that's a problem for fantasy owners because you want the points, but there were no points to be had. Speaking of points, Kansas City Chiefs, Pittsburgh Steelers. So let me say this again. I tweeted it out. I put it in the prescription notes. I'm going to put it here. Do not ever ask me whether you should start Patrick Mahomes. The answer is unequivocally yes. Okay? Don't ask. Yes, start him. You know what? I won't even answer that question anymore. That's it. That's how strongly I feel about it. Don't even ask me. Patrick Mahomes. All right? The dude had 6 touchdown passes. He only threw the ball 28 times. That was the amazing thing. He could have done even more. They ran the ball 25 times, including Mahomes 5 times. But Kelsey was on fire. Sammy Watkins was on fire. My only worry here was that Kareem Hunt only had one catch. I would have liked him to add more. Speaking of more, James Conner's got to run the ball more. 8 for 17, not good enough. In daily, Kamara crapped the bed. Conner crapped the bed. Guys that people were really counting on really crapped the bed. Juju Smith-Schuster, 13 for 121 and a touchdown. How good is this guy? You can watch him all day long. He's sensational. All right, the Colts and the Redskins. And I'm going to read you a stat here, and I'm going to tell you why the Redskins lost. Chris Thompson had 14 targets. He had 13 receptions for 92 yards. Paul Richardson had 6 targets and Jordan Reed had 8. When your running back has double the same amount of receptions as your best receiver, it's a problem. You have to throw the ball to your receivers. It's why the Giants lost yesterday. Same thing. You could look at the box score and see why they're going to lose. How does Adrian Peterson only run for 20 yards against the Colts? I mean, are the Colts that good a defense? Am I missing something here? I got to give Frank Reich a lot of credit. Naim Hines scores. Marlon Mack plays pretty well. T.Y. Hilton doing his thing. I would have liked more from Doyle and Ebron. That was a little disappointment for a lot of people. But, good for Indianapolis. I mean, it played pretty well. Speaking of good, Sam Darnold is really good. And I don't know. I feel very strongly that Saquon Barkley, the Giants, needed a running game. But every time I watch Sam Darnold play, you wonder, how is this guy, how did anybody pass on him? 334 yards. And the beauty of Darnold is that he's thrown the ball all over the place. Onunwa, 11. Pryor, 8. I'll talk about that more tomorrow in my Inside the Box score. He looked phenomenal. The Dolphins are 2-0. They do it in smoke and mirrors. Frank Gore gets a bunch of carries. Kenyon Drake doesn't look sensational, but it's good enough. They were just good enough to beat the Jets. And Tannehill is winning games. Surprising to me as well. But they're winning games. Speaking of winning games, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-0, and I thought Dirk Cutter could have been fired before the year started. But at this point, I'd fire Dirk Cutter if he played Jameis Winston. You have to play Ryan Fitzpatrick. The guy's thrown for 800 yards in 2 weeks and another 4 touchdowns. He's been absolutely Fitzmagic. So he's getting Deshaun Jackson involved. He's getting Mike Evans involved. He's getting O.J. Howard involved. I mean, what more can this guy do? And they're doing it with a crappy running game. So it really looks good right now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For Philadelphia, they have to get Carson Wentz back. I expect him back next week. He should be there, but I want to talk about something very quickly. Corey Clement sucked in week 1, and in Vegas, nobody wanted to take him. But you know what? He's not a bad player. Darren Sproles was out. The guy had 6 carries for 30 yards and a touchdown. He had 5 receptions for 55 yards. This is a quality player. So you can't just look at 1 week and decide, I hate this guy. This guy's a pretty good player, and I don't like when people do that. You're jumping the gun. Speaking of a guy in a similar situation, is Calvin Ridley. The Falcons said that they had to get Ridley involved, and they did. The guy had more targets than Mohamed Sanu. The guy went 4 for 64 and a touchdown. If they put him in the starting lineup with Julio Jones, come on. Atlanta's going to be really good. Tevin Coleman is going to get a huge paycheck next year because this guy can play. 107 yards rushing. Look good receiving. He's a must-play in any format right now so long as Devonta Freeman's out. For Carolina, Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey and Devin Funchess, whenever Greg Olson's not on the field, these guys are great. But I need to see more DJ Moore. DJ Moore comes in. He has a catch for 51 yards and a touchdown. Now, I know that Cam likes Jarius Wright, but Jarius Wright ain't going to win you any games. DJ Moore is going to win you games because he's just that good. Okay, the Texans and Titans. Derrick Henry looked much better, 18 carries, 56 yards. With the Titans winning, they ran the ball, and you saw that he was their number 1 guy. Corey Davis was okay, not great. The big problem is no Mariota. You go with Blaine Gabbert, it's going to kill Corey Davis. For Houston, they they have nobody to block for Deshaun Watson. So this guy's getting hammered every play. And the worst part is there's no secondary receivers outside of Will Fuller and DeAndre Hopkins. You've got 2 stars, and then you've got nobody else around them. This is going to be a problem. The Texans play the Giants next week. Winner has a chance. The loser's done for the season. I feel very strongly about that. Whoever loses that game, I don't know if you can come back from 0-3 with all the problems these teams have. If I'm the Giants, man, I need a top 3 pick to get myself an offensive lineman. Minnesota and Green Bay was a fantastic game, and this game just goes to show why you always start your studs. Devontae Adams was great. Thielen was great. Diggs was great. And people are like, oh, it's a tough matchup. Yes, it was a tough matchup. But these guys are great players, and great players play great. That's what they do. So whenever you ask, should I play my best players? The answer is yes. Play your best players, please. All right, the Rams and Cardinals. I can't watch the Cardinals anymore. They may be worse than the Bills. If the Bills played the Cardinals, I think the score would be 0-0. Why is Josh Rosen not playing? Please, for the love of God, get Sam Bradford out of there. It is disgraceful. Get him off the field. The Rams looked fantastic. Jared Goff throws for 354 yards. I think they took the foot off their gas. They could have played even better. So, I mean, it just goes to show you one team is on their way to the Super Bowl and one team is on the way to the getting the first pick of the draft. San Francisco against Detroit. I got to give credit to the Lions. They did play better this week. But the 49ers are a good team. They hung in game 1 against the Vikings last week, and they went and they beat the Lions this week and looked good. Matt Breida, 138 yards and a touchdown. Where was Dante Pettis and George Kittle? That was very, very disappointing. But on the other end, Kenny Golladay outperforms Marvin Jones. I said it before, I said it again. If I can pick one Lions guy, I want to pick Kenny Golladay over Marvin Jones. That's a fact. All right, Jacksonville beat New England, and I mean, maybe this could be another AFC Championship game. I'll tell you this, Blake Bortles looked good. I know I hate Blake Bortles, but he looked pretty darn good. 377 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 35 yards rushing. Keelan Cole looked good. Dede Westbrook looked good. And they did this without Fournette. It's amazing how they played better without Fournette. So maybe when Fournette is in there, they have to give him the ball, and then there's more pressure on Bortles. But here, Bortles just was able to run around, which was great. What is going on outside? Give me a break. I'm trying to do a podcast here, people. All right, for New England, the one guy I want to talk about is James White. I don't know what's going to happen with Sony Michel. I don't know what's going to happen with Rex Burkhead. What I do know is that James White is integral to the New England Patriots. If you have him in a PPR format, you need to start him because he is Brady's guy, especially if they're losing. He is Brady's guy. All right, finally, Denver against Oakland. Case Keenum with a big disappointment game. Phillip Lindsay, 107 yards rushing and looked great. Royce Freeman looked terrible again. I know he scored a touchdown and he had a chance for a second, but he just looks slow out there where Phillip Lindsay looks like he's being shot out of a cannon. This guy looks great, so I'm really concerned at Freeman moving forward. I drafted Freeman in like 3 or 4 leagues. I don't like being wrong, but I'm really close to saying that I was wrong. I'm going to give it another couple of weeks. I will, but I'm really disappointed right now. Very happy with Amari Cooper. He stepped up. What did I tell you about Jared Cook? I told you he always follows a good game with a crap game, and that's what you got. You got a crap game. Oh my God, get out of my head over here. Give me a break. Doing a podcast. All right. Finally, the Chicago Bears tonight. This is a game the Bears have to win. This is a game the Bears have to win. I need Jordan Howard to step up. I need to see Tariq Cohen do a good job. Allen Robinson has to make a play. Trey Burton has to make a play. The Bears want to be good. They had a great chance to win last week, which they didn't. But they have to beat Seattle this week. Seattle's defense is not very good, and they have to impose their will. You run the ball with Howard, you give the ball to Cohen, you throw the ball to Robinson, you throw the ball to Burton. Trubisky has to play a solid game, and they win this game. I like Trubisky to get about 240 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. I think Robinson finds the end zone. I think Howard finds the end zone. Burton, I'll give like 5 for 50. I don't know if this is a great night for him. For Seattle, the revenge narrative, Brandon Marshall revenge narrative, you know he's going to want to score, so I would play him. I like Tyler Lockett, but I really like Jaron Brown. He's a very sneaky guy, so watch him. I don't like Will Dissly. I think people overspent for him. He's not very good. Nick Vannett is actually the blocker there. Chris Carson, maybe a must start because I think the team is down on Penny because Carson looks so good. And of course, you got to start Russell Wilson. If the Seattle Seahawks are going to win tonight, they're going to do it 2 ways. Wilson is going to throw the ball, and Lockett, Marshall, and Brown are going to catch the ball. It's going to be as simple as that. If those guys can produce, the Seattle Seahawks have a chance to win. If those guys don't produce, they have no chance of winning because the Bears defense is going to step up. And I think it's about the Bears defense. Can Trubisky play well and the Bears stop Wilson? If that happens, as I think it should, the Bears win this game. If the Bears want to be a playoff team, and that's got to happen right now. It's got to happen right now. All right, you know what else needs to happen right now? You go into scoutdfs.com. That's scoutdfs.com. Check out our optimizer, Sean Childs, pegged O.J. Howard. He nailed it. He had Jared Goff. He had a lot of really great plays this week. So please check that out at scoutdfs.com. But right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Going to be back tomorrow when we go inside the box score. All right, guys, have fun tonight. If you need tonight's win, if you need the win, good luck. I'm rooting for you. This is Dr. Roto saying be well and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!